It may come as a surprise, but regularly snacking on the wrong kinds of nuts could increase your risk of heart disease by up to 48%, especially if you're over 60. That's not just an exaggerated claim. It's grounded in years of research, published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. And here's where it gets truly alarming. Some of the most popular nuts found in your kitchen cabinet may silently be raising your blood pressure, inflaming your body, clogging your arteries, and even speeding up memory loss. Many older adults think they're making smart choices by reaching for a handful of nuts instead of chips. But what if one of those choices is actually hurting your health? One specific nut, one that's often recommended in low-carb diets, has been linked to a toxic compound that can harm your liver, kidneys, and brain over time. And the shocking part, you probably have it in your pantry right now. Don't worry, we're not here to scare you without a solution. This guide is going to show you the top 4 nuts every senior should be eating to strengthen your heart, bones, and brain, and also the 4 nuts you may want to avoid completely. Whether you're managing diabetes, watching your cholesterol, or just want to age gracefully, these tips could make a big difference in how you feel. And please don't skip to the end. We reveal the most dangerous nut that few people are talking about, and it might be doing real harm to your health without you even knowing it. So, stick with us. Also, before we dive in, give this article a quick share with a friend or loved one who might be unknowingly eating these risky snacks. It could help them more than you know. Let's start with the 4th most important nut for seniors: almonds. Almonds are considered a bone-strengthening powerhouse. Why? Because they're packed with calcium and vitamin E. 2 nutrients that aging bodies desperately need. After age 65, natural bone loss speeds up, making our bones more brittle and increasing the risk of serious fractures. That's where almonds come in. Just a 1/4 cup of almonds a day delivers nearly 97 milligrams of calcium, giving your bones the support they need to stay strong. But it doesn't stop there. Almonds are also rich in magnesium, a mineral that many Americans over 60 are lacking. Magnesium acts like a traffic cop, making sure calcium gets to your bones and doesn't end up in your arteries, where it can do real damage. And here's more good news. Almonds are full of heart-healthy monounsaturated fats that help reduce bad LDL cholesterol, something that becomes increasingly important with age. How many should you eat? A daily handful, about 15 to 20 almonds, preferably raw or dry roasted and unsalted, is ideal. Just be mindful. Almonds can be a choking hazard for seniors who have difficulty swallowing. So take your time, chew thoroughly, and consider chopping them up or soaking them if needed. And the benefits keep coming with about 3-5 grams of fiber per serving. Almonds are a powerful aid against constipation, which affects about 40% of older adults. Researchers at Tufts University even found that almonds help protect brain cells from oxidative stress, one of the drivers behind memory loss and cognitive decline. Choose almonds with the skin on those thin brown skins contain flavonoids, which work hand in hand with vitamin E to double the antioxidant effect. It's a small detail that adds up to big protection. Now let's move on to a nut that not only supports your heart, but may also help keep your mind sharp: walnuts. It's no coincidence that walnuts resemble the human brain. Their wrinkled, folded shape mirrors the very organ they benefit. And science backs this up. Walnuts are one of the best natural sources of alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Why does that matter? Because omega-3s help preserve brain cell membranes, support neurotransmitters, and keep your cognitive function intact as you age. In one study published in the Journal of Nutrition, seniors who ate just 5 ounces of walnuts a day for 8 weeks showed improvements in cognitive processing speed and mental flexibility. These are key skills that tend to decline with age, so this is no small finding. The brain-protecting magic of walnuts comes from their polyphenolic compounds, which are able to cross the blood-brain barrier and reduce inflammation, right where it starts inside your brain tissue. But that's not all. Walnuts also contain melatonin, a natural hormone that helps regulate sleep. As we get older, melatonin levels naturally decline, which can lead to sleep problems. Some seniors report that eating a small handful of walnuts before bedtime improves their sleep quality noticeably. It's a simple trick that might work for you too. Walnuts are also rich in arginine, an amino acid that supports healthy blood vessels. Combined with their antioxidant load, walnuts may even enhance the effects of blood pressure medications by keeping your arteries more flexible. Want another pro tip? Store your walnuts in the refrigerator to protect their delicate oils from going rancid. Aim to eat about 7 to 9 walnut halves daily, and don't shy away from the slightly bitter flavor. It's actually a sign of their potent antioxidant content. Want to keep your hands nimble and your brain sharp? Try cracking them yourself. It's great for hand coordination and keeps your portions in check. Now let's talk about one of the most underrated nuts when it comes to Seniorhealth pistachios. These small green gems aren't just delicious. They're uniquely designed to support blood pressure regulation, something many Americans over 65 are actively managing. Unlike many snack foods, pistachios are naturally low in sodium and high in potassium, with about 285 milligrams of potassium per serving. That's an ideal combination for older adults, as potassium helps your kidneys release excess sodium and supports overall blood pressure balance. In fact, studies show that pistachios can lower systolic blood pressure by 3 to 5 points, a similar effect to some prescription meds, but without the side effects. Pistachios are also rich in 2 special antioxidants you don't hear much about: lutein and zeaxanthin. These carotenoids concentrate in the retina and help protect your eyes from age-related macular degeneration (AMD), the leading cause of vision loss in people over 60. That means a daily dose of pistachios might actually help you keep your eyesight sharper for longer. Another plus: pistachios have a natural crunch that's gentle on the teeth compared to harder nuts like macadamia or almonds. This makes them a great snack for seniors with sensitive teeth or dental work. And the act of shelling them can be surprisingly beneficial. It slows down how quickly you eat, helping with mindful eating, which supports better digestion and appetite control. Here's a fun fact. Researchers from the International Journal of Obesity found that the pile of empty pistachio shells acts as a visual cue to help people stop eating before they overdo it. That makes pistachios both healthy and self-regulating. If arthritis makes shelling tricky, look for half-opened pistachios, which are easier to manage. Aim for about 49 pistachios per day, or roughly 1 ounce, and choose unsalted or lightly salted versions to protect your heart and kidneys. One more benefit worth mentioning: with 3 grams of fiber per ounce, pistachios can help stabilize blood sugar. Great news for the 25% of seniors dealing with diabetes or prediabetes. And now we've arrived at the number 1 nut seniors should be eating, but in very small amounts: Brazil nuts. These creamy, rich nuts aren't just tasty. They're loaded with selenium, a mineral that's critical for healthy thyroid function. In fact, Brazil nuts are the richest known food source of selenium on Earth. Just 1 nut contains about 96 micrograms, which is roughly 137% of your recommended daily intake. Why does selenium matter so much for seniors? Because thyroid disorders affect up to 20% of Americans over 65, and many go undiagnosed because the symptoms like fatigue, weight gain, and mood swings can look like normal aging. Selenium is essential for activating thyroid hormones, which in turn regulate your energy metabolism and emotional balance. But Brazil nuts don't just benefit the thyroid. Their healthy fatty acids also protect myelin, the outer sheath around your nerves. That means they may help preserve reflexes, reaction time, and mental clarity, all of which naturally decline with age. Unlike synthetic selenium pills, the selenium in Brazil nuts is organically bound, meaning your body can absorb and use it more efficiently. That's why just 1 or 2 nuts a day can provide huge benefits without the need for supplements. However, more is not better. Because of their incredibly high selenium content, eating too many Brazil nuts can actually be harmful, leading to symptoms like fatigue, irritability, and digestive issues. That's why nutrition experts recommend a limit of 1-2 per day, and that's plenty to feel the difference. Want to get the most out of them? Choose unshelled Brazil nuts if you can. The natural shell protects their nutrients and helps them last longer. Store them in the refrigerator to keep their delicate oils from going rancid. Brazil nuts also support digestion thanks to their natural fiber and healthy oils. For seniors who struggle with constipation or gut health, this makes them a surprisingly effective and delicious remedy. And here's the big surprise. New research suggests Brazil nuts may help slow the shortening of telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA that shorten as you age. That means they may play a small but real role in slowing down the aging process at the cellular level. Now that we've covered the best nuts for seniors, it's time to look at the 4 nuts you may want to avoid completely, starting with a familiar name. Peanuts. You've probably been told that peanuts are healthy. But here's the truth. Peanuts aren't even nuts. They're technically legumes, and they grow underground, which makes them especially vulnerable to contamination. Specifically, they're often contaminated with aflatoxins, a toxic byproduct of mold that can harm the liver and potentially raise your cancer risk, particularly dangerous for older adults whose detox systems are already slowing down. Even if you're not allergic, peanuts contain proteins that can trigger inflammation in many people over 60. This low-grade inflammation may worsen joint pain, heart strain, and even cognitive decline. All major concerns for seniors. To make matters worse, commercial peanut products are often packed with hydrogenated oils, added sugars, and excess salt. A dangerous mix for anyone, but especially the 63% of seniors already living with high blood pressure. Even natural peanut butter can spike your sodium levels, increasing cardiovascular risk. Peanuts are also high in omega-6 fatty acids, which aren't inherently bad but become a problem when consumed in excess. Most Americans already get far too many omega-6s and not enough omega-3s, leading to a chronic imbalance that drives up inflammation. The ratio matters, and peanuts throw it off. Another serious issue. Vitamin K peanuts contain significant levels of it, which can interfere with blood thinners like warfarin, a medication commonly prescribed to older adults. If you're on blood thinners, eating peanuts could affect how your medication works, potentially leading to dangerous clotting or bleeding. And there's more dry roasted peanuts. A common preparation method produce a chemical called acrylamide. This compound has been linked to neurotoxicity and may accelerate memory loss, an especially troubling issue for those already concerned about conditions like dementia or Alzheimer's. Even if you haven't noticed any side effects from eating peanuts, it may be time to reconsider. Simply replacing them 2 to 3 days a week with a safer alternative like walnuts or almonds can reduce your exposure to these risks while delivering more of the nutrients your aging body actually needs. Coming in next on the list of nuts seniors should avoid or at least eat with extreme caution are cashews. Now this one might be a surprise. Cashews have a good reputation. They're buttery, satisfying, and often considered a healthier snack. But for seniors, especially those dealing with diabetes, osteoporosis, or digestive issues, cashews may not be as innocent as they seem. First, let's talk about their carbohydrate content. Cashews are among the highest carb nuts available, with nearly 9 grams of carbs per ounce. They also have a relatively high glycemic index, meaning they can raise your blood sugar levels quickly. For the 25% of Americans over 65 with diabetes and the additional 48% with prediabetes, this is a serious concern. And unlike almonds or walnuts, cashews are low in fiber and protective phytochemicals, meaning you're getting more sugar-spiking carbs and fewer stabilizing nutrients. This makes them a poor choice for blood sugar management. Cashews also contain oxalates, which can bind to calcium in your gut and reduce how much your body can absorb. That's bad news for seniors at risk of bone loss or osteoporosis, and even worse, for those with a history of kidney stones. Oxalates are known to increase stone formation, and the risk jumps after age 60. Then there's the choking hazard. Cashews are smooth and curved, making them easy to swallow too quickly. For older adults with swallowing issues, they are one of the most commonly aspirated nuts. That's a dangerous situation that could result in lung complications. What many people don't realize is that cashews go through an intense chemical processing stage to remove urushiol, a toxic substance also found in poison ivy. While the final product is safe to eat in moderation, this process often strips away key nutrients, leaving behind a fatty, high-carb nut with limited health value. Store-bought cashews are often oil-roasted and heavily salted, increasing your sodium intake and adding bad fats that can raise blood pressure. And they contain enzyme inhibitors that can make it harder for seniors to digest protein, which is already a challenge in older adults. Worried about gaining weight in your golden years? Cashews' creamy texture makes them easy to overeat. And at over 150 calories per ounce, the pounds can sneak up fast. Now let's talk about a nut that tastes amazing, but hides some heavy risks, especially for seniors. Macadamia nuts may have that buttery crunch and gourmet feel, but they're also the most calorically dense nut available. Just 1 ounce, about 10-12 nuts, contains roughly 200 calories, a big deal when your metabolism is slowing down with age. As we get older, our bodies naturally burn fewer calories. That means eating just a few extra high-fat snacks every day can quickly lead to unwanted weight gain, especially around the midsection. But with macadamias, it's not just about calories. It's about the kind of fat they contain. These nuts are loaded with fat around 22 grams per ounce, and though much of it is monounsaturated, they also contain about 3 grams of saturated fat per serving. That's one of the highest saturated fat contents of any nut. For older adults already watching their cholesterol levels, that saturated fat can contribute to raising LDL bad cholesterol and may strain heart health even further. Another problem, gallstones. About 15% of seniors have them many. Without even knowing macadamia's extremely high fat content can trigger gallbladder issues or cause flare-ups in those who are already susceptible. That's not the kind of surprise you want after a light snack. Dental health is also a concern. Macadamia nuts are dense and hard, which makes them a potential hazard for older adults with crowns, bridges, dentures, or weakened teeth. A cracked crown or damaged filling can be both painful and expensive, so it's worth considering softer alternatives. Macadamia nuts also tend to be expensive, and many budget-conscious seniors may turn to cheaper bulk versions that are more likely to be stored improperly. Rancid fats from old or poorly stored nuts can produce oxidized lipids, which contribute to inflammation and cellular damage over time. What's worse is that commercially packaged macadamias are often roasted in oils and heavily salted, further degrading their nutritional profile. That buttery flavor can also encourage overeating, especially for those whose sense of taste has dulled with age and who now prefer more intense flavors. While some nuts are heart-healthy in moderation studies, on nut benefits often exclude or downplay macadamias due to their fat content. Safer alternatives like pistachios or walnuts offer more health benefits with fewer risks. Finally, we come to what might be the most surprising and most dangerous nut for seniors: pine nuts. Though small and commonly used in pestos and salads, pine nuts can be particularly problematic for older adults, and not for just one reason. The biggest red flag: Pine nuts contain compounds that interfere with common medications, especially those prescribed to seniors. These include statins, antidepressants, and blood pressure medications, some of the most widely used prescriptions in people over 65. Unfortunately, most doctors and pharmacists don't warn patients about the risk of food-drug interactions from pine nuts. But there's more. A strange condition called pine nut syndrome causes a bitter metallic taste in the mouth that can last for days or even weeks after eating them. It sounds minor, but for seniors, it can be a real problem. Taste changes like this are linked to loss of appetite, which can lead to unintentional weight loss, a serious issue for older adults who are already struggling to maintain strength and nutrition. Studies suggest that as many as 42% of those affected by pine nut syndrome experience a noticeable reduction in body weight. And because the condition is more common in older adults, it may be connected to age-related changes in taste receptors and detox pathways. That's not all. Pine nuts are rich in polyunsaturated fats, which can quickly oxidize and create inflammatory compounds. For seniors already managing conditions like arthritis, this can worsen symptoms and trigger flare-ups. Additionally, their small size and slippery texture pose a choking hazard, especially for older adults with dry mouth, a side effect of many medications. Pine nuts also contain enzyme inhibitors that interfere with protein digestion, a critical issue for older adults who may already struggle with getting enough usable protein. These nuts are also calorie-dense, which can complicate weight management in retirement years, especially when activity levels decline. Even if you think you're only getting a little bit in a pesto sauce, pine nuts can still have an impact. Recent research even raises concerns that certain compounds in pine nuts may accelerate age-related macular degeneration (AMD), the leading cause of vision loss in seniors. The nuts you choose can deeply impact your heart-brain bones, digestion weight, and medication safety. Just a handful of the right nuts can support longevity and vitality, while the wrong ones might quietly increase your risk of disease, inflammation, and complications you didn't see coming. Remember, small choices lead to big results over time. If you've made changes to your diet, especially around nuts, we'd love to hear about it. Which nut has made the biggest difference for you? Share your story in the comments and help others learn from your journey. And don't forget to send this article to a loved one who might still be eating the wrong kinds of nuts.